Starting on the waterway's upper reach, construction activities extend from the south 102nd Street Bridge down straight to the Duwamish Waterway Park. Over the next 3 years, in-water activities will occur from October to February, ending in February 2027. Visit ldwg.org to learn about the Upper Reach cleanup and sign up for email updates.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.world.
Hey y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell, and it is Monday, and it's a beautiful day in Seattle. Let me just say that you can see there's breeze at this beautiful waterfront location, and I get to show up here and talk about what it means to live powerfully, getting better together. That's what we talk about every week, and we've been talking about living powerfully with AI. I have the pleasure of being able to not only present for corporate leaders, executives, boards, people that really want to get to the next level, but I also have the pleasure tomorrow. I'm actually presenting for the Tacoma Public Schools. Yay! So I have a version of a presentation that I get to share today that really is a focus on how do we show up differently? How do we choose to show up differently? And the language that we use is very similar. The process that we apply as adults is the same as what we apply as young people, right? And I was able to use the language, superheroes. So we ask them to actually show up as, superheroes. So I'm actually gonna add this to the stage, this presentation. And what I love best about this, I'm going to start from the very beginning. It was called Mastering Your Mind. So it's the Living Powerfully experience. And it was mastering your mind. And what we said to the little ones is that how do you outsmart stress? How do you crush anxiety? How do you unlock your inner superhero? And I think we could all stand to do that, right? We could all stand to apply practical tools to spot those saboteurs, to see those negative patterns, and then to pause with purpose and handle any challenge just like a champion. So we say tap into your inner superhero. That is outsmarting stress. Don't let what used to happen to you be the thing that said, oh, that person triggered me. No, you allowed them to trigger you. So this is you tapping into your own superpowers. And I love that. I love that so much. So it's really about mastering your mind. You love these superhero images? I know I do. So stay with me here as I make that a little bit bigger for you. So it's really like, how do you create a space where it's a journey? Right? It is a journey. I want to emphasize that word. It's a journey to outsmart stress, to crush anxiety, right? And to unlock your inner superhero. So we're going to dive into what that looks like, but it is a journey, right? It's a journey for all of us. I had the pleasure of connecting with my own coach, Debrina Jackson-Gandy, this weekend. And when she talks about her journey and how she's helped so many people, it's like, whenever you're walking in your purpose, it feels amazing. So when I can help adults, it feels awesome, especially when you're like, wow, that person's been that way for a while. Some people don't want to change, and you can't help people that don't want to change, right? When you meet someone and you have the ability to support them in their next journey to up-level their life, it's so exciting. So this is for each of you who want to master your mind, who've actually had an occasion where you're like, right? If you had to get real about your feelings, and I am going to pop this up a little bit bigger here. Have you felt stressed out this week, right? Has there been any feelings, where everything just felt like it was too much? That's anxiety, right? If you're and a lot of young people, unfortunately, have these experiences and they're never taught how to get real, like how to put your arms around a situation, understand what's happening, and then choose differently. So if you've ever felt stressed out, young or old, right, then this is for you. If you felt anxiety, so these anxious moments, right, when your heart's kind of racing a little bit, there's worry that kind of takes over, that's anxiety. Oftentimes, we all feel that way on occasion, but some people are like a little bit on the edge on a more regular basis than not. So if you're stressed out, if you're anxious, this is how we get to the next level. Self-judgment. Once again, think about what we sometimes say to ourselves. Our saboteurs, those are the voices. They lie to us. So we've talked about saboteurs in the past, but I wanted to present it in a way that says, if you hear an inner voice that's saying that you're not good enough, that's making you not feel good about whatever situation is happening, that's likely one of your saboteurs. So we call that self-judgment. You can also judge other people, but it's harder when you're judging yourself, right? Some people don't even recognize when they have a problem. Everybody else is the problem. If that's you, you should pause and look in the mirror just for a second, right? If you're the one who thinks it's always someone else, it's probably you too. I'm just saying, it's always us, right? In a loving way, we can learn to improve. So we don't want the self-judgment to cause us negative energy. So this is when there's any negative energy, that's when you can pause and be like, no, that's not true. I am good enough. No, I don't need to do another thing. That's that hyperachiever makes us want to do this extra stuff. We don't have to. It's not necessary. I'm just going to face the light a little bit more. Thank you to my producer for clarifying that. Okay. There's a beautiful window and a waterfront view, so it does make sense if I face that direction. Okay. So again, this is how we get real about feeling. So I'm going to ask people to raise your hand, put something in the chat here. If you've ever felt any of these things this week, stressed out, self-judgment, any type of anxiety. And if you're ready to change, say yes, I am, right? Look around. We've all been there. There's no space where, we all got it together. But this is the good part is like, mental wellness becomes a superpower. It's like, yes, what? You mean I actually have a superpower? Yes, we all do. We all do. And it is a form of mental wellness, right? It's not about never having problems. It's not about not feeling stress or anxiety on occasion. It's not about having a thought that comes through your mind that's like, I wonder if. It's not about that. It's about learning how to face those challenges without letting the stress or the negative thoughts or the feelings control you, right? Think of it as kind of these superhero powers, these superpowers, right? So they're building muscles. So that's why we call it mental wellness or mental fitness, right? It's about getting and having better focus, stronger relationships. When we say better focus, let me just clarify what I mean by that. It means better performance. So if you're in school, if you're at work, if you're, a mother or a parent, like how can you be better at whatever you're doing, right? A little sharper in school, sharper at work, having more confidence, right? That's what mental fitness allows you to do. So you're not distracted by all the shenanigans. I use that word, but all the things, all the extra stuff that really isn't true. So better focus is huge. Stronger relationships, also being able to connect better with friends and family, right? That's when you're mentally strong, when you have mental wellness that is stronger, right, than the little voices that might whisper in your ears. And then inner peace, right? Like that feeling of calm. There's nothing wrong with that energy where you're like, that's what living powerfully really is about. It's really about that feeling of calm. It's about being able to recognize and see what you're able to contribute to others, but also being in a position where you realize not only am I doing the best I can today, but I get to help other people. because when you don't overreact and act, when you're calm, you create calm in others. When you do overreact and you're stressed out, that influences other people around you too. You know that. So it's really, how do you create calm, not only for yourself, but for those people that are around you. And I do love this. I love this visual more than you know. So if we had to talk a little bit about our inner villains, if they're superheroes, the other side of the superhero side is the villains. And the villains are really the saboteurs, right? There's all kind of voices. This is just 3 of 10 that we've identified. And the judge is the number one villain. The judge is that voice that's inside of your head that says things like, you're not good enough. Look at all those mistakes you just made, right? It's always criticizing you. It's condemning you. It's comparing you to other people, or having you compare yourself to others. And the voices that you hear, it's like, these are inner voices. That's the thing that makes them so scary. They're inner voices. They're coming from within. So you get to silence them. It's like, the beauty of it is when you see them, you're like, that's giving it the hands. So the judge is one of the saboteurs, the inner villains that we get to address. The avoider is another one, right? Meaning, I'll just do it later. It's just too hard for me to do it right now. I'm busy with this other thing that's probably not as important, but I'm busy with this thing, so I can go do the other thing, right? So if you think about it, this procrastination, this future focus, it prevents you from being your best right now. And so procrastinators, it's just one of those challenges that you can decide, I'm just going to do one step toward the goal, right? Like I may have this bigger project, but I'm going to at least do one thing. I'm going to write the outline for it today. And then tomorrow I'm going to write, page 1, and then the next day, page 2. So it's not always about doing all the work. It's just about moving forward, like one step at a time. That's how you silence that inner villain, is you just, do one thing and say, okay, that was good. I'll do the next thing tomorrow. I'll do the next thing based on your timeline, right? You decide, but you do get to decide. Like, these are decisions. These are things that you get to control. So I love the controller. That's another one of our inner villains, or one of our saboteurs. And the controller is what I think is most hilarious about all of these is, if you have fun with it, when you see the judge, you get to laugh. You get to amuse yourself in a way that is, like, I used to respond to that judge when it said that. I used to let it take me down the path. I used to take way too long to do something that's so simple. And once it's done, then I'm free. Right, as the avoider, right? The controller. If you think about the controller, it's like, I have to manage everything, or, it'll fall apart. So if I don't do all the pieces, it'll just fall apart. Meaning, what is it? Nobody else good enough to do any of it? So if you think about the controller, it's that voice that says, it creates stress about things that you really can't control. So I think about this controller as one of those inner voices, those inner villains that allow you to say, you know what, right now, I get to shut you down. I see you, and I get to shut you down. That's easy. That's relatively easy. So again, if you know about your superhero, your superpowers, you also got to think that you have to see your villains first. If you want to discover your sage powers are like the foundation of your superpowers, right? A sage, S-A-G-E, is this idea. It's like there's something called the sage perspective, and it basically says that every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. Sorry, I have someone that was working with me a few minutes ago that keeps texting me, and I'm trying to tell him that I'm live. Stop texting me. Thank you. Okay. So discovering your sage superpowers is really important. So there are 5 sage superpowers. And the first one is really the power of empathy. Empathy, the power to empathize, to show your kindness to yourself, but also show it to other people. To say that, you know what, I can see you as well. It sounds relatively easy, but oftentimes it's not. And let me just give you an example. This power of empathize, if someone has harmed you, if I say, think about what that person has probably been through. Like I probably over empathize sometimes. Someone told me something that happened to them and I felt really bad for them. So I kind of excused a lot of their behavior as well, which is not what we're asking you to do. We're basically saying, make sure that you're not stressed out by other people and situations. And one thing that you can do to help yourself and others is to empathize with them. So if someone had harmed you, if you could empathize, like I say, someone cut you off driving. Well, imagine if that person was rushing to the hospital because some horrible thing had happened to someone that they love, right? So it's like that empathy immediately changes how you might feel about that situation and about that person, but really it reduces your stress. So if mental wellness is about you living your best life, that means you empathize with others so that it's not really for them, just say it, because it impacts you. Right, your empathy for another person lowers your stress. It helps you to truly conquer whatever situation is happening with joy and with peace, because you can empathize. You can just create a space, right, where you're feeling better about the situation. You're not like immediately on the edge. The other thing I love about these sage superpowers, number 2, is the idea of exploring, which means asking questions, right? So you want to stay curious instead of judging yourself or other people. You just want to stay curious. So when you explore, that means you ask a question of others. You say, this thing happened. I want, and you ask the person if possible, right? If you're connecting with someone and there's a question, ask the question of the other person. Like, hey, I wonder if, like, someone maybe sent you an email that came across rough. Hey, how are you doing today? Like, did someone send you a different, request that is, not aligned with what I, thought? So you want to ask questions to make sure there's clarity. And most times when I ask questions, there's something I didn't know that also helps me to empathize, but it also gives me more information so that you can make more informed decisions. So empathize would be first. Exploring is next, meaning asking questions, getting clarity. Even if you think ask for confirmation. Because there's always, there's 2 sides to every situation. So there's always something that you don't know. Even if you think you do, there's always something you don't know. So empathize, explore, and then innovate. This concept of saying, I want to create just new and creative solutions to any problem. That's innovating. That's being creative. So again, back to that sage perspective. If the sage perspective, and we've said this many, many times, but I have to repeat it here for us to remember to apply it in all cases. The sage perspective says every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. Now, I may not know exactly what gift might come out of this, but I can innovate. I can be creative. I can explore options. Right. So explore is asking questions. Innovate is to think of very creative solutions, and nothing's wrong. Any solution could be an option. So you just want to keep yourself open to all possible solutions. I love that. Now, the fourth of the 5 sage superpowers is called navigate. And it's about making choices that are aligned with your values. Right. And I love that because it's like if you look forward and you thought about how would I want this situation to end? Like someone did something to me recently, and there's someone that I thought I was able to help, and then they just kind of flipped and was like, do this instead. I'm like, that's not what we said. And it was like, I felt a little empathy for this person because I'm like, they don't really know any better, I guess, like how important capacity building is. And they wanted me to do something else. And I was like, okay, I hear you. Let me just pause. And I kind of just took a step backwards because I wanted to make sure that I was going to come out of this feeling good about how I showed up for my divine creator, right? Like, people, you can only help people who truly want to be helped. So me navigating to the end to say, how would I want this to end? Like I can pause. I don't have to do what, you don't have to respond to what people ask you to do, right? You don't have to respond in a way that would be negative, even if the other person was negative. You can just pause. Sometimes you get to take a breath. We call it the power of the pause. So, but what you can navigate to is, how do I want this to end for me? How would I want my creator to look down and be like, well done, girl, well done. So it's really navigating to your values. Like, I want peace. I want clarity. I want to feel like I'm doing good things for the universe. And so navigating to me is saying, okay, I do want to make sure that I'm creating, joy in the universe to the best of my abilities, but I'm also about impact. I can't do raggedy stuff. I need to make sure that what I'm doing is going to provide impact to someone else. So navigating to the end says, okay, I'm not going to go down that path because I don't think it's best for you or for me. So I'm going to pause and choose to do something different. So I love that. So then if you think about the 5 superpowers, and 4 of them are empathize, explore, innovate, and navigate. If you do those 4 things first, then when you're ready to take an action, the 5th superpower is then to take action, right? When you're ready to take an action, after you've done those 4 things, now you can definitely move forward with clarity, right? It's not scary anymore. There's no fear involved because you've empathized, you've explored, you've asked questions, you've innovated, you've tried to find some creative solutions, you've navigated to make sure that the outcome aligns with your personal values. Someone can't make you do something you don't want to do. They can try to. And the beauty of it is when you take an action, you're the one who's responsible for that. Not what they did to try to trigger you, if that is the intent. You get to say, you know what, I'm choosing to pause and then move forward with joy, right? So that's where the action part comes in. After you've done all of these things, again, these are the superpowers. These are the additional superpowers. It's in doing these things and remembering to do these things and not just reacting to what your saboteurs, those inner villains, would have you to do. How's that? Now we're about halfway through this show. I have about a few more slides that I wanted to share. So we're going to end this first half of the show, I believe, with this concept. We talk about a secret weapon, and it really is the power of the pause. Like brakes, right? When you feel a trigger from one of those saboteurs, when something has happened, someone has said something to you, someone has done something to you, it is your secret weapon to just pause and breathe. You are allowed to feel the trigger, meaning notice when the stress is happening. Notice when the anxiety is beginning to happen. You don't have to wallow in it at all. If you're smart, you notice when it's first happening and you're like, oh, irk. I like to make braking sounds. That's when you hit the brakes. Feel the trigger. Okay. You can maybe feel it in your body. Sometimes your throat, tightens up a little bit. You might feel some kind of feeling in your stomach or your chest, right? Your breathing might speed up or that there's typically a physical reaction to anxiety and anger and stress, right? So when it starts to build, you're feeling it. You're like, okay, you feel it. You basically acknowledge it. And I laugh. Oh, right. If you think about it, it is so powerful. If you're able to say, oh my God, I would have in the past, I would have responded in a way that is not aligned with how I want to show up in the universe. And I would have let the situation trigger me so that I'm stressed out for the rest of the day, or I'm feeling some kind of way. Sometimes when people are like, when I can see from the beginning of a message that it's going to be raggedy or bad energy, I just stop reading. I'm like, nope, I'm not even letting that into my eye gates or my ear gates, right? Someone leaving a message and it's like not good. I'm like, I don't accept negative energy into my flow if I can avoid it. If I can, I'm like, as soon as it's starting, I'm like, I may do it too much, but you want to feel the trigger, right? You feel that it's about to happen. Acknowledge it. Oh my God. If you're smart and you know that there's certain people that trigger you on a pretty regular basis, then you prepare yourself before going into the situation. So if this person does this today, tomorrow, or the next time I see them, this is what I'm going to do. So you prepare yourself. And then when you're able to pause, hit the pause button and choose a different response than what you would have done, then you get to celebrate. Oh, like, oh my God, I just, like that. I just practiced my superpower. So it is a secret weapon because only you know in your heart what's happening. But you can also, most times, it's happened before, right? So these aren't like new things. Typically, when stress shows up or anxiety shows up, or these certain people with their energy shows up, right? You get to feel the trigger, but you also get to hit the pause button, right? And there's multiple ways you can hit the pause button. We say here for 10 seconds and take a deep breath. So you feel it? You hit the pause, you take a deep breath, you might even take a drink. Delicious. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my water now. It's somewhere over here. It's heavy. Okay, looking for my water. So we're gonna drink. So again, you feel the trigger, you hit the pause button, you breathe in and out. If you do it 3 or 4 times, it brings control back to what they call your reticular activators, so it's the front of your brain as opposed to the back of your brain, which is like the fight or flight, feelings that you get when something's happening and you got to start swinging. It's like, don't fight, don't run, just pause and breathe, right? It's true. Just pause and breathe. And then this is me and my water. So, There's ice in there, and I love ice water. So you could just take it to the head, so to speak, right? Just drink, have water with you at all times, and then guzzle if you must. Just like drink and drink, pause and breathe. If you need to breathe some more, we say 10 seconds as a starter, but you can do it for 2 minutes. You can do it for 3 minutes, but at a minimum, 10 seconds to like stop whatever would have been happening, whatever automatic path you would have gone down. You're like, no, stop. Oh, I got to take a break. I realize. So let me just finish this, and then we'll come back to this place as well. So you're going to feel the trigger. You're going to hit the pause button, and then you're also going to choose your response, right? So when you press the pause, it gives you space to activate those sage superpowers that we just talked about on the page before, right? And I'll come back to this, but I just want to make sure you're all like in a position to say, if there's any goal that you want to accomplish, we're together going to ensure that you are living powerfully every day. And this is the how. Okay, so stay with me. We'll be right back on Rainier Avenue Radio. This is Dr. Traci Harrell with Better Together and Living Powerfully.
Hey Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at the local Filipino community, Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in. Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
So my doctor told me to go online to check my test results, but I didn't know how to do that. Thankfully, I could turn a link to Care WA for help. With Link to Care WA, I was able to learn how to use online health portals, use telehealth to talk to my doctor virtually, and manage my prescriptions online. I called the hotline and spoke to a real person who taught me the skills I needed. Call Link to Care WA at 866-757-1832 or visit linktocarewa.org.
What's going on, world? It's your boy OG Mambo.
And your guy D Money. Join us along with Pint Size Patron and ID Yourself
Here on Fresh Juice at Rainier Avenue Radio.
every Wednesday hump day from 9 to 11 Pacific.
Get exclusive interviews from your favorite artists, all the hottest music, and updates on what we got going on in the world.
That's every Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio.
Are your kids eligible for or enrolled in Apple Health Medicaid insurance? Bring them to a free dental clinic in Skyway this fall. Public Health Seattle and King County is hosting free dental clinics for kids 12 and under at the Skyway Resource Center one Saturday per month, now until December. Visit kingcounty.gov/ABCD for more information. Again, that's kingcounty.gov/ABCD for free dental clinics for kids.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not using my GPS to navigate the land of 1,000 dances, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell, and this is Better Together and Living Powerfully. And we were just talking about this concept of transformation, right? Your secret weapon is really the power of the pause. So, we know we all have triggers, things that could trigger us, and it's okay to feel the trigger just for a second. When you feel the trigger, then you hit the pause button, right? You breathe, you drink. Breathe, meaning inhale and exhale. I say do it at least 3 to 4 times. So you just choose 10 seconds is like the minimum. And if you're really just breathing in and out in a short period of time, it's going to create a space for you to pause and then choose your response, right? To decide how do you want to deal with whatever situation is having, whatever might be causing you stress or anxiety, or whatever situation is coming your way, whatever person that may have is about to ruffle your feathers just a little bit, you get to decide in that moment, I'm going to choose my response. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to breathe and I'm going to drink. Yum. Right? So that is the fundamental secret weapon of truly showing up, feeling the trigger, recognizing them. Sometimes you can name them and claim them. Like there's more I'm going to share here in a minute. I'm going to get through this, but this is a presentation that we're sharing with some young people about feeling the trigger. Feel it. It's okay. Something's happening. I got it. And then you hit the pause. You're going to breathe. You're going to drink. You're going to do something, but you're not going to go down a path that you would normally. yelling or, crying or feeling anxiety or freezing, right? Because our saboteurs all do different things. We all have different saboteurs that show up in different places. So again, if you decide I want to choose differently, remember we were just talking about some of these sage powers. Instead, I can empathize when I'm choosing differently. I might ask some questions. Okay, so what is really happening? So say someone yells at you. So what's really behind the negative energy? It's like, what's really behind that? So you can ask the question. You can innovate. Okay, this too will work out for my good if you believe that, which I absolutely do. So then you can ask and think about, okay, how might this situation work out for my good? I know I've learned a lot from crazy people. I have. I am so grateful. Like, I've dealt with some people. I'm just like, wow, is that really happening? Ooh, I know how I want to show up in this situation. I know what I want my story to be. I know what I want my maker to be looking down saying, good job, girl. Good job. So the navigate part is like, how do you want to show up in the situation? If someone was just watching you and the crazy person, don't be crazy with the crazy person and don't let them get you riled up either, right? So empathize with them. Wow, I bet they're kind of, they must be going through a lot for them to be acting that crazy. But let me not add to it, right? There's something called crazy contagion. No, I'm just joking. It really is. But there's some contagion that happens. Your positive energy is contagious, but so is someone else's sage or saboteur contagion, right? When their saboteurs show up, their saboteurs trigger your saboteurs. You get what I'm saying? So you get to decide, okay, I'm going to empathize, I'm going to explore, I'm going to innovate, I'm going to navigate, right? Before you take an action. So that's part of the pause. Is there's some things that you can do that are very powerful before you take that next action, right? So you're going to feel the trigger, hit the pause button by breathing or drinking, or, we talked about touching your fingers. They call this, so lightly that you can feel the ridges on your fingers. I actually like to squeeze things. So this is my phone. Sometimes I'll squeeze, or if I'm driving, like squeezing the wheel and then releasing, or just holding your phone, right? Like squeezing it really tightly and then releasing, or just kind of, your toes. Imagine squeezing your toes like little balls of fist and then releasing, right? If you're sitting down, squeeze your butt muscles in your chair, release, whatever you can do. That tightening up and then the releasing, there's something kind of cool about that, especially if you're like an active, person. People would say I'm probably more high energy than not. And I'm Southern, so I'm louder than I should be. So then people think I'm, louder than I should be sometimes, but it's typically with joy, right? With joy, right? Anyway, so I say, feel the trigger, hit the pause button, and then choose your response. Okay, now I'm going to move on. What I love about this is part 2. So we just said that's kind of the information you need to know and what you need to do. This is how you activate your superpower. So knowledge is a tool. It's part of it, right? It's part of it. But how do you build the activation? Typically, there's a plan that happens over a 4-week period. Each week, you'll learn something new, and we're going to give it all to you today. So the first 2 stages or the steps is really kind of creating your morning power or your morning routine. Deciding that, I'm going to pause and I'm going to breathe. Like, choose something that you do every morning. If it's brushing your teeth, then use that time to also focus on something physical. Right. So if you're brushing your teeth, then you want to do it in it's such an intense way. Right. You want to focus on, your brush, rubbing, or touching every tooth and the gums that are being massaged. Like, you want to drink your coffee in a more intentional way so you feel the warmth going down your throat. I drink cold water in the morning. So it's like, drink that. Even more intentional. So you want to kind of connect your morning routine, whatever that daily habit is, you want to connect it with a 10-second, pause routine, something that you can do at any point in time. So kind of a mindfulness routine. So it becomes sacred to you. And if you're doing it every morning, that means when some shenanigans happen, when someone triggers you because you're doing it already, you can come back to that. So if it's breathing and pausing and you're like, okay, this is my sage moment, I'm taking it in, right? Focus on your breath, focus on some physical sensation, kind of back to this, or squeezing something. You're holding the toothbrush as tight as you can and release, not to drop it, but just, so loosen your grip and tighten your grip and loosen your grip. So whatever it is, it's like, find something physical that you can do in the morning, connect it with your morning routine. So it's something physical that is part of your pause. And again, you're doing it every morning. so that when you are triggered, this is a thing that you come back to. So something that's easy. It's breathing, it's touching, it's squeezing, whatever it might be. It could be your toes, but you want to feel, and then you also want to feel things more intensely. So like when you eat, you want to hear the crunch of the lettuce or whatever you're eating, right? You want to feel the temperature of things going down your throat and the crunch of the whatever that might be in your mouth. So you just want to make sure that the experiences that you're having are more intensified, right? If you're looking at someone and you're looking them in the eyes, it's like really see them. How many times are you in front of someone kind of like talking and you're doing some work, but you're not really seeing that person, maybe seeing how beautiful their eyes are, comment on how lovely they look in their, colors or whatever it might be. So just like make connections, make deeper personal connections as a part of this process. So that's basically saying do a morning power up. So something that where there's a physical activation that you can then tap into later. Week 2 is when you catch the judge. It's when you pause and you're able to, you hear that voice and you say, okay, I hear you, right? I hear you, but that's my judge. So you get to just say, nope, that's, you notice it and you get to shut it down. You just catch it and say, I see you. And then you celebrate that you caught it, right? I'm going to move on because I do have another version of this to share as well. In week 3, you're going to basically flip your saboteurs, right? So if we talk about see it and flip it, a saboteur flip says you're going to notice the saboteur. For example, this idea of being more controlling or the anxiety that might come with someone who is an avoider, right? You're just going to see it and you're going to notice it. Then you're going to call it out, say, okay, that's my saboteur. And you want to call it out with joy because seeing it is the first step in stopping it. So you want to take the opposite action. Whatever you would normally do the opposite. When your saboteur normally shows up, it's, for example, if it's the avoider and you're like, okay, I just want to do nothing right now. Just do one thing, right? If it's the controller and you want to control someone else, or if it's a hyperachiever and you're trying to do more, just do nothing. Just pause and say, I don't really have to do anything extra right now. If you're the doer, the overdoer, and no one is volunteering and you feel like the urgency that you got to volunteer, you don't. Give someone else the opportunity to do so. All right. So it's the opposite of what you would normally do when your saboteur shows up. So that's why we call it flipping the saboteur. You first got to see it, right? The judge is the number one. And then any other saboteur, you flip it. You want to say, yeah, I'm not going to do what I would normally do. You flip it. And then week 4 is really this concept of activation. So you want to practice each of these 5. You got 5 days of the week and there's 5 superpowers. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can do a different, you can practice a different sage superpower each day. So again, if this was the empathize on Mondays, then we already talked about what empathize is. Tuesday, you would do explore. Wednesday, you would focus on innovate. Thursday, you would focus on navigate. And Friday would be activate, right? So the action-oriented step. So this is just a way that you can decide how do you want to show up? How do you want to practice these things? And I think we all have this in us, right? So this is a summary for you and for anyone else. Is just basically saying your living powerfully challenge is to catch it. Notice your saboteurs, notice them, right? And when they show up, catch it. That in itself is a win. Like, yay, I caught it. And then you want to pause it, right? You want to take the powerful 10-second break, right? It is a pause. It is catch it, pause it, and then flip it. So it's like activate your sage powers. One of those sage powers, you can choose whichever one in the moment is better, but you remember the sage perspective that every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. I don't know what the gift is, but I'm willing to explore that. I'm willing to ask some questions to see, maybe I'm not understanding fully what's happening here, right? I want to, so there's all kind of ways that you can pause and leverage those sage superpowers. And I love that. So again, you get to write down one thing that you're going to do. And if you can say, you know what, I can catch it, I can pause it, and I can flip it, then this is how you shut down the stress in your life. This is how you literally tap into your superpowers. And it's this simple. And if you do it on a regular basis, you can imagine that you will not be the person that you were before. You will be the super version of you, the version of you that used to be upset about things that you no longer have to be upset about. Because again, you can explore, you can empathize with whatever situation might be happening. You can do things differently. You can catch it, you pause it, and you flip it. You do the opposite of whatever you would have done, right? Whatever your saboteur would have told you. And you know a saboteur when you see it, okay? And there's all kind of work we can do to go deeper. But this is the beginning of your transformation. I have 15 more minutes, so I'm going to share another document with you. Yes. Hold on, I got the wrong one. That one's good too, but we're going to talk about this one. So this is the Living Powerfully experience. It's one of my success guides, right? So it's about sage steps and your sage powers. So if you first ask, like, what is a sage step? This is the activation part of it. It's that 10-second step to catch the saboteurs, and you're energizing your sage brain, right? Or you're using one of the sage powers. That's the sage step. So every sage step requires some type of activation of the sage brain. So you're actually building your sage muscles. So the sage steps are key to establishing new sage habits. So if this was a 4-week program, right, your step 2 or your week 2 is when you learn the sage step. And we have all kind of videos and all kind of content that we can share. But just know that you get to, first thing is to catch your saboteurs. If the judge is the number one saboteur for everyone, you become aware and you acknowledge that you are in judge mode. And all you have to say is, that's my judge talking. It's that simple. You catch your saboteurs. Catch the judge. I see you. That's my judge. Right? You're not upset. You're actually happy because you know this is step 1. This is how I do it. And then you celebrate for 10 seconds. You're like, oh my God, I'm moving closer to the superhero that I know I am. Because I see it. Before it just would happen, you'd go through this saboteur would just take over and you'd be this different person. And you're like, that is not who I want to be. So when you celebrate, you're actually telling your brain, this is how you rewire your brain. It's when you celebrate for 10 seconds, right? After even a small win, you celebrate because you're building a new habit and you're retraining your brain. So you see the saboteur, you say, oh, that's my judge, and then you celebrate. Now, what I love about this is the judge is the first one, which is why we say catch the judge first. Celebrate that you caught the judge. Now, for any of your other saboteurs, right, the controller, the avoider, the hyperachiever, we're just going to talk about 3, today, but you know what they are. You want to catch them and label them. When you're in whatever saboteur mode, when you first see it, you want to be like, that's my saboteur talking, right? Just that's all you have to do. Same way you said, that's my judge, that's my saboteur, even if you don't know the name of it. If you're feeling any type of negative energy, it's a saboteur. Let me just say that again. You don't have to know the name of the saboteur. If you're feeling any negative energy, that is a saboteur. That's all you need to know. It's a saboteur. So you want to catch the saboteur, right? And all you got to do is say, that's my saboteur. That's not me at my best, right? We all know what that looks like. So you want to catch it. You want to shut it down. And then there is, for each of the saboteurs, there is a saboteur-specific sage step that you can take. And again, that's for deeper learning, for another sessions. We've talked about them in the past, but it's really like a 10-second action that counters your specific saboteur. We summarized before by saying, just flip it, do the opposite of what you would normally do. Because a hyperachiever, for example, will tell you to do more. Like, I got to take on that project because no one else would. I got to volunteer to do that free thing because no one else would. It's not true. Hand down. That's the opposite. That's the opposite. Stop. Right? When the avoider is like, I'm not going to do that right now. The opposite would be, now you activate. I'm just going to do one thing toward that goal. So that's the opposite. So that 10-second action to counter that specific saboteur, you do the opposite of whatever that saboteur is telling you. I think this is so good. Just a nice little refresher. I've had several people talk to me about situations that have come up, and I'm like, let me do this refresher because it's really, really, really good. Okay. So again, you want to catch that saboteur specific. You want to catch that saboteur and do 10 seconds of the opposite of whatever it would have told you to do. I had to say it like that. Told you to do. Now, when you think about your sage superpowers, you might be like, okay, tell me more about this empathize. Empathize is super simple. It's really feeling love. It's 10 seconds of love or appreciation or gratitude, right? It's positive energy. So when you empathize with someone, we're basically saying, feel the love. Feel love for them and love for yourself. So when you're judging yourself, the opposite of that is feeling love for yourself. So just be like, I love you. You're wonderful. Say the words. Right? Here's another superpower. Here's another sage power. So when something happens, you get to accept it or convert it. If you choose to accept it, you tense up your body for a few seconds and then just release it and say, you know what? I choose to accept this. Whatever has happened. Because we say every situation can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. You have the opportunity to just accept whatever has just happened. Right? I accept whatever's happening. Like this is not ending the way I want it to, but I accept. But I do want to end well. Like sometimes people, I get to choose to end well, right? So whatever that means. So you get to accept or convert. And then if you want to convert something, right, that may take a little bit more of work. And that's when you want to ask yourself, what might the gift be? So when we say convert it into a gift, so every situation can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. Let me just say this part again. You can accept that this situation will be a gift and I have no idea what it is. I accept that it is what it is. And at some point in time, it will be a gift, right? And you remember how we talked about KPIs? It could be the gift, KPI, I'm just using those acronyms. It could be the gift of K knowledge, right? The gift of knowledge. Like I've learned something from this shenanigans or this situation. That's the gift. That's a gift too. I've learned something. So the gift of knowledge. It could be the gift of P, the gift of power. I'm now stronger. It could be the gift of perspective. I have a new perspective based on this new situation that I've been through, right? So the gift of power. So the gift of it's new information. I now have new insight. So it could just be like, I accept that this is a situation. You don't have to be stressed about it. It is what it is. And I accept it for what it is. And the situation too will work out for my good. I accept. If you want to convert it, then you use the superpowers. That's when you start to do the assessment, the sage superpowers, right? I want to empathize. I want to innovate, and right? You want to do those things. Explore, empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and then activate, right? So that's how you convert it, is if you want to do more. I just want to kind of tell you how these all go together. Okay. And then you want to ask what's needed now. So that's about those sage superpowers, right? If it's not clear, that's when you choose, what do I need to do? Do I have any questions? Right? Do I need to explore, ask some more questions? Do I just need to pause and empathize? That might just be enough, right? I don't know how this is going to be a gift, but I can figure it out. Let me innovate. Let me ask somebody. Maybe I need to bring someone else in. So you can ask what is needed now. But you got things you can do is my point, right? You got these sage superpowers, right? All 5 of them, right? They all are superpowers and they will grow with practice. So this is just where you're being introduced to them, but they're all your superpowers. So you get to decide how you're going to allow them to show up. I love empathy. Empathy is like the first one. And again, it is the love. Love is such a powerful strength, such a powerful resource. It in itself can convert fear like nothing else. Peace, love, and joy, y'all. I'm just saying, like it's the most powerful. So if you think about this concept of empathize, I'm not going to go any further. I'm actually going to stop sharing slides because I could keep going. I'm going to actually remove this or have my how do I remove this? Oh, there we go. Okay, there you go. So what I love about today is that we have so many things, so many ways that we could show up in community. And this is really a recap and a refresher, hopefully to strengthen your ability to live powerfully. No matter what's happening in your life, You get to decide, right? You get to decide how you show up in the universe. You get to decide how much something is going to stress you out. Things may not end the way you would like for them to end. They may not be happening the way you would like for them to happen, but you still get to know and remind yourself that every situation, this is the sage perspective, every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. So again, if that is the case, that means you get to decide how you're going to show up. You get to decide how, practice the power of the pause. Like, what am I going to do in this moment? Am I going to just breathe? Do I need a drink of water? Do I need to empathize with this person or the situation? Right? Is it my saboteur? It could be theirs, but we can only really focus on our own because someone else's saboteur might trigger one in yours. The one thing a lot of people try to do is they learn about saboteurs and they tell someone about their saboteurs. This is an intro. This is about self-mastery, right? This is about no matter what, this is the superhero part says, no matter what happens around you, you remain calm and at peace. You remain joyful. That's living powerfully. And it's so much better when you can do it together because some people have never heard of this. They don't even know what it's like to truly live powerfully, no matter what is happening around you. And you might be like, it's too easy. Like it sounds too easy. It is simple. It is not easy. It is simple. It is not easy. So I'm going to say for each of you, no matter what is happening, no matter what situation has come up, I'm going to ask you to show up with joy, knowing that this situation too can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. It can be. I think I have 1 minute left. So here's how I want to end. I want to end with the ask. I want each of you to literally think about a situation that's coming up. A situation some situation that has happened in the past. Either way, you can look forward or backwards, right? And think about what you're going to do differently the next time. So living powerfully we can't change the past. But you can think about what your future is going to look like. So if something's happened in the past with an individual and you're going to have an interaction with that person again, Debrina likes to talk about healing work as well. That's a whole nother session. I'll have her back on and we can talk about healing, like letting go, right, of things. But for now, what I want each of you to remember is that you get to show up with your superpowers, living powerfully, because you get to pause, you get to choose, and you are incredible. So until next week, I'm going to ask you to come right back here to Rainier Avenue Radio. Join us right here with Better Together and Living Powerfully. And we're going to continue to help you live your very best life. And I wonder what's next. Is it Pepino? Lidline Sports with Pepe, Otis, and Michael Carter. Stay tuned. See y'all soon. Bye.